Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How you doing, Steve?
Pretty good. How are you?
It's hot. The sun's I've taken a beating this week. I'm actually starting to see some real red in my skin. It's not.
Well, you know, the audience has a chance to check out your sun exposure with your tank tops that you...
I'd love to wear a t-shirt, but it's just too. I can't do it.
Yeah, mine's coated in sweat, probably stinking up the bathroom.
I literally
should have thrown it in the washing machine, but
this
there were
morning
clothes in there.
went to do the siding, and I got quite a bit done. I'm getting there. I really am, but you know, now I'm working in the sun. I had that thin shirt, you call my wrestling shirt on. So Andrea stopped, and she's like, "Holy crap!" Like you could just see it was just soaked. Like if you squeeze it, it's so gross. Like sidling is like, "Who give me a kiss?" And I'm like, "You're not gonna want a kiss." I'm just dripping in sweat, and yeah, I'm ready for like turn the temp down a little bit. Like
I think it's going to cool off a little bit next week.
I hope the thunderstorm today may kind of bring the temp down some. It's really humid today. Like it's just yeah. I mean, granted, if it was in the shade, it wouldn't be as bad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty hot out there in the garden.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I should wear a hat or something, which would keep the sun off my face as much, but it would just be worse. I'd be sweating. Like when you can see sweat through my shorts, it's not really a good thing.
Yeah. So it's a hot one out there in
Newport,
a hot New Hampshire.
It is. I guess it's not as hot as jolly old England, but it's I don't know what today is.
Well, the world should shut down because it's so hot.
It's true. Shut her on down because it's too hot to be outside.
I don't know. I used to always look at the hot, you know, back when I read the newspaper, it would always have like hottest day, this day in history or whatever. And there would be super hot days in the middle. I mean,
we've got some records up here, but not like this summer's nothing with a record. We've had hotter days.
Yeah, it's not that hot out. I mean, it's hot, but it's...
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's typical summer in New Hampshire. Maybe a little tick warmer than what we're used to in the last couple of years, maybe. But for me, I just notice it more because I'm working right in it. You know, in the past, I would, you know, a lot of my job was driving from job to job, so at least you're in a little bit. But when you're just at one job and you're just working out in the sun, it's a tough one. Tough to be a roofer this time of year because you can't roof, you know, between probably like 11 and 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. Like you can't. You put the shingles on, step on them, they'll come right off the building. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I see you got more stuff done in the garden out there.
Yeah, I got some more trellises up.
Nice. We went last night, and so we went to Salt Hill, and so I brought my phone with me. I was trying to upload the hot take that we did yesterday, or I did, or we did it, and try to just do it right to Facebook because they'll tell us how many views we have. Because I don't believe the YouTube views anymore because they're just too sporadic, weird. Like I think yesterday's was what 14 or something.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. I was like 28 or something.
Yeah. I mean, I personally know probably 20 people that watch the show every day anyway, so it's just kind of weird. So, and then you watched it one day, and you're like, it's weird. We went from 11 views to 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I was hoping I could upload it, and that would be, it just wouldn't work. But so we pull into Salt Hill, and I look, I'm like, huh. It's a government, you know, state rep or whatever, plate and everywhere, and I saw one that said Ruth Ward. And now I'm starting to think. I'm like, So, unfortunately, they're all in the new building that they have out there, having a private little...
soiree?
It was Chuck Morris, I believe, U.S. Senate.
He's running for it.
Yes.
He's currently he's the Speaker of the House for New Hampshire or something like that. He's got a...
So I yelled out Don Bolduc, and who I like, because he's not one of them. And said on Facebook, I'm like, yep, a bunch of useless Republicans are at Salt Hill having a swave, or what the hell am I trying to say?
Get-together.
Little get-together, a little fundraiser. But I was like, man, I'm telling you right now, if I see Ruth Ward, I'm going to walk up to her and be like, so,
when are you going to fix
When are you going to fix education? When are any of you useless politicians going to do your job?
When are you going to hold Sununu to account?
Yeah, when are you going to do that?
because it's just like the Democrats at the national level saying, "Oh, just send us some more money. We need just a little few more people, and you vote. I'll vote harder for me this time, and I'll work a little bit harder." And it's like you have control.
Yep.
Republicans have control. You could have stopped Sununu with his emergency decrees, like he said he would do, and no one holds anybody to account. So it goes back to all I can believe is that there's really a uniparty. There's a slight few differences, but they all have the ultimate goal, which is to maintain power at their level. And it's just that simple. It's like a high school drama that you would watch on TV where the cool kids are walking around and they think they're the coolest, but really it's those who don't have the spotlight on them that have the more common sense and the pulse of the school, because the other guys and gals live in a false reality like most politicians do right now.
Yeah, it
It's
was
my
just,
take anyway. It's my own personal opinion.
it was just like the last cycle we had where Don Bulldog went in to run against Shaheen or whatever, and they didn't pick him in the primary or whatever. He's like, because he's an outsider. He's not one of the Republican establishment.
Isn't he like, he's kind of like the guy that's trying to run, what's his name? He's a Republican trying to run for the House seat this year, but he's not from New Hampshire either. He
Oh, originally he's not from New Hampshire?
yeah,
This
like
all-
you got like a
yeah, I don't know.
a rental home or something. But I think that's kind of like the same with Don Bulldog. His permanent residence was in Colorado until a couple of years ago, anyway, if I
think
recall.
I think Shaheen was the same way. I mean, she might have been
Yeah,
here
so
since like
it's
the 80s or something.
because
but-
they're all picked by the corporations. I don't know. I'm jaded when it comes to politicians.
Oh yeah, me too. I just like this guy because, like we the people of New Hampshire support him, and Therese and her people. He's like the outsider kind of thing, and that's the thing I hate. It's like I always have to pick between a Republican and a Democrat when I despise both of them, because the Democrats.
Because you don't necessarily agree with their party platform,
No,
and you can
at all.
count on them for the most part, not really listening. And who knows? Maybe a lot of us aren't writing them to give them cause to think, oh, the majority of my constituents want me to do this because that's what they should do.
They don't care. They don't get enough. They go to Washington. They stay there, kind of thing, and I don't think they come back until it's election time enough to get in, and visit the people that.
Well, they do a
Aren't
bunch
happy
of
with them.
talking points. We all know it, but yet, like, to say it out loud like this, people will call me a conspiracy theory. They tell you what you want to hear to get your vote,
Yeah.
and then it's a different story when they get there because they're working on behalf of the special interests, not for Tim and Steve.
Yeah, we're not special enough for the interest.
Because it would be different. So, like, let's say a Democrat wins or a Republican, and, 8,000 people write them up saying, hey, don't sign off on this aid package to Ukraine. And they're like, well, I got 8,000 emails saying don't. I got 2,000 emails saying, yeah, let's help out Ukraine. Unfortunately, because only 2,000 wrote, that would be, quote unquote, a democracy.
Right.
Because they say that we live in a democracy, which we don't. We live in a
Constitutional Republic,
but that's lost on people because pure democracy ends up with mob rule, which is
Right.
what the founders wanted to prevent.
right. And you think about it, the only ones that vote against their party at all that I remember is Munchin from West Virginia, and was it Cinema?
Yeah, but they're mostly because, they were elected in a mostly conservative area.
Yeah.
And granted, you can be, I don't know, I just hate the whole label thing. Like, you should just be like, I'm going to go and whatever it is that you want me to run for, like, these are my personal opinions. This is what I think should happen. And if you put me in there, that's what I'm going to work on, unless you tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's the whole thing.
Now, you would think that that's how it works, but it doesn't work that way. And
No.
people can watch a television show, they can watch the news, they can read articles that will tell them the exact same thing that we are. But when you think about it long and hard enough, you're like, I don't want to believe that. Like, you're not actually saying that out loud, but your brain prevents you from believing that there are jackwagons out there that are not working at your behest
yeah.
like they're supposed to.
If you
That's my own
seriously-
personal take. Like, granted, there's always a few that probably do operate that way, but
Well, seriously, if you think these people are down there right now on your behalf,
no, that's what I'm saying.
doing the work
There's
of
a
the-
few. There's a couple.
There's a few, yes. I don't know any from this state though.
Yeah, I don't know why they're all not trying to get Julian Assange. Like, why they're not trying to protect him?
He's a traitor, right?
Well, I mean, you and I are supposed to disclose everything to the government. They have everything based on our GPS trackers. My new car has cameras that sit on every seat. Why is that necessary? Like, at what point in time are you like, oh, let me check in the third row? Now, granted, if you're going cross country with kids, that might help you, but
Hey, when we were in the backseat, you were checking in on us.
yeah, to show y'all how creepy it was, so I could check in on y'all.
Yes.
Like, that's just weird. And to top it all off, and this isn't crazy anything, at 2 a.m., if my Bluetooth is on and I'm connected to that car, it'll start syncing with my phone at 2 a.m. And there's no key in that car, no one sitting in it. I'm going to be sitting on the couch or laying in bed, and the light blinks when it connects to Bluetooth. And I'm like, wait, what am I connected to?
Your car's like Kit from Knight
Basically,
Rider.
it is. Except it's not working on my behalf. I don't know whose behalf it's working on.
Right, Kit would never do anything.
Yeah, Kit was always trying to help out old
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah. Your car?
No,
Not so much.
Nah, I don't. I mean, it could be nothing nefarious, but why is there? There's no like, hey, when you sign in, we will randomly connect to your phone to update and blah blah blah.
It's like when you go to a website, we'd like your location. None of your damn business where I'm located.
Yeah, and they probably already have it.
Oh, of course they do. Remember the...
Because you got to turn it like for certain things. So like when I was using my hotspot before I got the Starlink, and I still have my horrible internet. I need to send that back. Because I have some things running off of it still. But I lost my whole train of thought. So the internet, what was I saying?
Well, it's probably you're going to talk about how you have to click the box saying I agree to the terms and conditions that
Yeah.
are 30 pages long.
30
right?
pages long, and you don't know what it's saying.
And you could, Steve, you have free will. You could say no, but your phone wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's the point. That was the point I was making.
You're
It's
forced into
like,
it.
You're forced into
Exactly.
it. That was my point.
Yeah.
You can't say no, because if you say no, then it shuts down all functionality of your phone. So you have to agree to Google. You got to turn on your location, and then the hotspot works better so that you can actually connect to the internet. Because if you have turn off my location, because you can turn all that stuff off.
Right.
And then, like, the internet drops every 18 seconds. And then, oddly enough, when you turn on all those permissions, it works just fine. That was my point.
Yeah.
I get worked up over technology.
No, I know. But you look at the things, it's like, I mean, when they say the AI can predict this and the AI is, more or less can talk to you like a human being and no, it's not happening. I'm like, man, this is like Terminator in the making.
Basically, that's what, like, that guy we talked about last
Skynet or
month
something.
from Google
Yeah.
AI or whatever.
No, he's just crazy.
I mean, I don't. Hey, they've been writing about science fiction stuff like this since
Yeah. For how long?
a long time.
Science fiction is one of those weird things. There's so many of them you'd read,
Yeah,
and it seems to come true, and I'm like, whoa.
well, some of that is because it influences and inspires young men and women, or kids are reading this and like, oh my God, and then they set their life to try to figure it out because it's not something, and they're like, I'm going to make it so we can do this. That's what I like to think, anyway.
Hey, remember they said by now we'd be driving around in like Jetsons and cars flying, and
Yeah, there's no money in that probably because you'd have to have a different type of energy source that's probably can't be regulated as well as what it is right now. Like they literally meter our electricity and charge us by the whatever. Like
kill a lot. Can you imagine though?
Free energy would be the thing to like set the world literally free.
Yeah, too bad they wouldn't listen to Tesla. But can you imagine though everyone like flying around in cars like? People are bad enough drivers on the road now. We have like clear lines. Can you imagine I guess if you had autopilot, but if you just could drive on your own and you had millions of cars in the air.
Yeah. Because then you got to probably rely on
computers
technology and AI. I don't know. I don't want to go back to horse and buggy days, but I also...
No. It's kind of looked like we're going to be going that direction soon, though.
Well, yeah, because the electric cars all run off of fossil fuels that creates the electricity.
Yeah.
That's the conundrum that, like, I don't know, maybe a scientist can come in here and be like, oh, that's all fake news that you've been reading about all those studies.
They can't, though.
I don't know.
Bring it. Come on in. Tell us all about it. All right. Position of the day. Middle school music teacher. Yeah. Music background, music.
Yeah,
Degree.
that's going to be a hard one to just come in there and try to get a statement of eligibility,
Yeah.
unless you were a music major.
Yeah. Like,
I guess maybe you
Former
could, but I don't know
rock
if it's on
star.
the list of critical shortages, because the state publishes a
that's true.
critical shortage list.
Wish they changed on us, and we got lucky because there was a loophole. I was talking to Don about that. I'm like, when you first said that, I'm like, oh, so now the state's going to screw the school once again, which they have a habit of doing with their rules.
Yeah, but it's all schools. It's not just like
No, yeah,
Newport.
no, just Newport, just in general. The state screwing education, I guess, would be a better, you know. Luckily, there's a loophole, though.
Well, I would like to think that what they do is they look at the pool of openings over the last few years versus the pool of applicants eligible, because the Department of Education tracks you, right? So even when I did my statement of eligibility to teach math and whatever, was it social studies and math, and then I think I did one for media to be the long-term sub. So they have that, right? So they know that Morris, if he hasn't moved out of the state, is eligible to teach these 3 subjects
Right.
if we really need him to. But I would like to think that they look at actually not the people like that I did, but the actual certified teachers. So they probably have a list of available. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here. So a list of available versus list of openings over time. And if it looks like it's leveling out, then they take that off, and then they add, oh, nobody's studying, civics anymore. So now that's a critical shortage. I'm just explaining it for the audience of what I think it is. What, like common
math
sense
teachers,
will tell you
math
that
teachers
that's how
is a
they
big
do
thing.
it.
Right. I mean, you would hope.
Yeah. Now, there's always influence because somebody who's worked there for 30 years is like, oh, this is the pattern. It's not picked up on this. But if you go back and look at what happened in the 80s and 90s, it peaked and then it dropped significantly because of this. So it's good to have, somebody with some historical knowledge. So, I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, so what did Miss Magoon say about the...
Oh, no, I was just telling her. I was like, I was worried that when that was brought up that...
No, so I'm sure there's other positions that benefit.
So as
So
one
that
that's-
one hurts us.
on a
but-
state level, it's not a national. It's not a state level shortage, but it is for us, which luckily gives us the ability to hire someone that necessarily doesn't have the degree in that or teaching degree, but can get their teaching degree as they're doing it under like an apprentice thing almost. So
Yeah, it takes about 2 or 3 years,
Yeah,
depending
so-
on the mentor checks
good.
off a checklist. I had to fill it out.
yeah. I totally foresee this whole truck driving thing. We're going to get to a point, I assume, that all of a sudden, because now I have to go to school. I got to go to school, spend $8-10 grand, get to drive a big truck. And eventually they're going to get to a point where they don't have enough drivers. It's all going to crash down. And they're just going to be so desperate. They're like, oh, fine, we'll just waive it. And you can just drive like how we've been doing it for all these years, where
No,
you get
this
a
is to
permit, learn how to
create
do it.
I'm telling you, this is all. You can't help but if you look at all the things that are going on, that some decisions are being done on purpose to our own detriment. Like there might be benefits, right? So maybe the safety department studied over time, and the men and women who went to some in class for whatever have fewer road incidents than those who don't. But they don't ever brief it that way. So there should be a 5-minute or less bottom line it. That's what we call it in the military. Bottom line up front.
Yeah.
This is my recommendation. This is why. What are your questions? And then underneath it is all the background information. So that anybody who wants to find out why that's anyone's interpretation, whoever produces that memo, can follow their logic and reasoning. And it goes back to transparency. There is none.
Not that level. Reduced free hot lunch application now will be
Somebody's going to be like, if you watch this one clip from Buttigieg on his first day in office, he gave a 5-minute speech that covered all that. Well, that's not I'm sure that somebody somewhere, if they were doing the right thing, did that. But it should be like a disclaimer on everything. This is why, like facts. Instead, they start, well, it's because of this city doesn't have a proportionate number of eligible drivers, so now we have to punish the whole country. Or this guy who's best friends with Nancy Pelosi, I'm just giving an example, started a trucking school, and he's opening up 12 trucking schools across the country. And what a perfect way to funnel people into this trucking school. Am I boring you with my
No, sorry.
slippery slope logic?
No. Unfortunately, everything you say is
That's probably, you know what I'm saying? There's
spot
probably something
freaking
like
on.
that.
Reduced and free hot lunch applications are available now. They do take like 10 minutes, I guess. So do that.
I'm just laughing at you yawning at my
Yeah, I know.
long explanation of. I'm sure it's something like that, though.
No, the yawn was just because I'm tired. Kindergarten, if your child's going to be 5 before August 30th or by the 30th, September 30th, man, now you're in my head. Your children must be 5 years old. By September 30th, they can go to kindergarten this year. Sign up now. And then congratulations, this is new. Congratulations to 3 members of the Newport High School varsity spirit team who earned the title All-American at the Universal Cheerleaders Association in-house camp this week, becoming a UCA. All-American means the cheerleaders demonstrated excellent skills and techniques in engaging the crowd with cheers, jumping, dancing, and overall enthusiasm. And these 3 were Elizabeth Sorrell, Christina Cameron, and Haley Machad. Congratulations, girls. So the All-American cheerleaders now have the opportunity to participate in a variety of special events hosted by UCA, such as the Circus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, the Varsity Spirit Spectacular Walt Disney World Resort, the Varsity Spirit Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade in Honolulu. Now that would be cool. Or London's New Year's Day Parade. Well, kudos to these 3 athletes on their hard work and dedication to the sport. And
London doesn't sound too fun to me.
No. Honolulu sounds kind of nice, though. There's a track clinic Wednesday, August 3rd from 6 to 8 for 7 to 12th graders. It's free. A couple of alumni, I guess, are coming back and just doing like a little clinic thing. So if it's something, if you participate in track, you want to check that out. Check it out. And then tomorrow is the block party, 5 to 8. Live music, food trucks, vendors. The farmers market will be going on from 3 to 6. Bearcat Olympics and much more. It's supposed to be a little cooler, I think, tomorrow. So we'll have to check that out. And bring cash, Steve. I know the trick. I know how this works.
I have some, unless my wife and daughter found my wallet.
It's gone. You're screwed. At Consonant Common, Sunday at 6 to 8, it's Bel Airs. Yeah, Lydia's been helping at the church over on the Common there. I don't know, Church of the Good Shepherd or whatever it is. Because our aunt is like a minister there too, or whatever. And she's been helping them. They do hot dogs and fried dough and stuff. So this unfortunate thing for Lydia is you can't get your community service hours until you're in high school, because she probably already technically has all around her school hours, but it's good for her, and she likes to do it and helps out. And my grandfather's been going down with my grandmother every Sunday. He brings his 54 down there, and I love seeing that when I drive by. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the meme of the day. It's kind of a long one. So I was asked by someone if we leave these up a little longer on the screen, because I put them up for just a short amount of time. So I said, yeah, of course we can do that. Stop feeling so entitled. All you deserve is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or property in Steve's case. No free tuition, no free health care, no free abortions, no free housing, no free blah, blah, blah. There is no such thing as free, my little snowflake. Someone is paying for it, and it's never a politician. You deserve life, enjoy it, liberty, pursue it, preserve it, excuse me. I did what you told me. I jump ahead. And pursuit of happiness. Work for it.
I sent you that, didn't I?
I think this is the one. Yes, this is the one you sent
I
me.
sent that to you last week. I was going to ask you if you got any of those.
Here it is. Yep.
I mean, I think that's good. That just reminds everybody that.
Right. You're not entitled. Like, everyone thinks free. It's not free, though. We pay for it.
We spend more on taxes than we do on, like, groceries.
Yeah. And then they'll send that money to some other place.
Yeah, they'll send it to another country that.
Send it to, like, Pakistan or something that hate you and wish you death, and
Well, not.
more Iran, but I guess, but
Yeah. Well,
than
Pakistan, it was they sent to study,
gender studies
like, homosexual or transgender, which is not.
that they kill there.
Yeah, in some places. Yeah. I mean, I could do that study for them. It's frowned upon, and it's not socially acceptable. So, what are your questions?
Yeah. Well, that was the study. The study was to see if the United States was dumb enough to send them the money.
Millions of dollars, like 14 million or something. It might have been more.
Yeah. That's why if X amount goes there, then they filter back X amount to the politicians through, Clinton foundations and blah, blah, blah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Good news story of the day. Ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's not really good news. I mean, yeah. President Biden has COVID. How can it be? He's vaxxed and double boosted, but the symptoms are mild. Maybe this is some of the brain fog he has.
Yeah, it could be.
It really
He's
could
got
be.
long-term COVID.
You got something on Pakistan you want to talk
Well,
about?
it was 10 million for gender programs.
10 million? I thought it was less than that. Wow.
And then right before that, the article before that says Pakistan among least tolerant of homosexuality globally. So
I bet the 10 million wasn't for to tolerate him more. It was just like
probably to set up TikToks with
recognize him or something.
Pashtun speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. We're accused of doing that all the time by other nations. Like,
Why do we care to send $10 million to Pakistan for that?
I don't know.
How does that affect us here?
Uh,
They're going to hate us less?
That's why I'm not all about being we have
We're
to,
not the freaking Red Cross or some big charity organization. That's not what the United States taxpayers' money is supposed to be for.
You ever looked into the Red Cross?
They're crooked as can be.
I just remember watching, I don't know, because there were a lot of Red Cross fundraisers because of bad things that happened in the early
You mean
aughts.
like Haiti?
Well, that 9/11, the hurricanes, and I remember I don't know. There's been lawsuits about 9/11, because they say this is for the families, this is the blah blah blah, and then, you start doing a deep dive, and a little bit goes to the families
Yeah.
if they meet all these certain criteria,
Right.
and it's not an easy like, oh, you lost a loved one. Well, here's $10 million to help you because America feels so bad for you. They donated who knows how much to that one. So I'm just suspect of, and it's not just the Red Cross, by the way. I'm suspect of all
No.
charities.
You have to really look into it.
Yeah, I was in the. Did I ever mention I was in the military? But anyway, there's a lot of military.
You were in the military?
I was. There's a lot of organizations out there that claim to help veterans and all this other stuff. But then when you start looking into them, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I don't want to name one of them right now because I'm thinking of one and I'm like,
But you know what I'm saying? But you got to do your own research, like,
Yes.
because, and I've said it before, what makes America so great is our morals and values that the country was founded on, and we always help each other out. A lot of other countries, they don't care. Like, they're not going to go and donate their time through a church to go and help, flood victims and go take a mission trip with a bus full of clothes and food and stay there for 2 months. Like, other countries don't do that. That's like a particularly American thing, which is what makes us so awesome. But it also gets taken advantage of because you may not have a pot to pee in, and you'll still, if somebody is sitting there and they need help, you're going to try to help them out. Like, now I may not stop and ask you if you need a ride if you're looking disheveled and I don't get a good vibe, but
Like the one that gave us the middle finger.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, people take advantage of us, including our own politicians and government. But especially others who are like, oh, you're American? Oh, you're a charitable person. We're charitable people.
Most of us.
So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is it can be taken advantage of. So be careful of who you volunteer your time and money with, is what I'm saying. Like, just do your research. And a lot of times they have to publish that, and so you know exactly how much goes.
Yeah. Usually it's like, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. You donate $1, 97 cents goes to
Administration
fees and whatever, and then 3 cents goes to actually helping the cause.
Have you ever, here's something else. Well, you probably haven't noticed.
And probably most of our listeners know this, but it's just helpful to remind people.
Well, maybe they think they're crazy, we think we're crazy, and then they're like, oh my goodness, we're really not crazy. Like, have you seen the one, like, was it ASCPA? What's the American, the dog one, or cats? For
SPCA.
SPCA. So I don't know what the amount was now, but usually it's like $19 a day, or $19 a month. You could save these horrible animals they have, like, abuse.
Yeah, they show them and they pull on your heartstrings.
Yes. And then another one comes on. It's the same thing, $19 a month. You could save these children in Africa or whatever. And I'm like, how is it always $19 a month? Like, that doesn't make sense. So,
probably because there's a psychological study out there that says anything below $20 you can hook somebody on.
Yeah. No, I'm not a sucker like that. I look at it, I'm like, that's sad. Those videos are probably taken in your own freaking kennels out back.
Well, it's just like we did our thing for charity.
Right.
Everybody gave us their money that they donated. We matched it, and then we handed it off to the school.
Right.
There's no middleman. There's no administration fee for the cost of the tutus and the. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went, we did it, and most people, like, at our level that are doing that, like high schools, churches, that's what they do. But then when they start 501c3 and then at the national level, then you got salaries to be paid. Because who wants to spend their day helping others but only live on $48,000 a year?
Yeah.
Right? When you have millions or,
Right.
a lot coming in, you can like, oh, you know what? I've done a lot of advertising. Let me pay for this. I'll
10% for the man. So,
anyway, we digress.
more Biden stuff. I love it.
Did you notice I moved the microphone up here because I have a tendency to whisper because I watch all these television shows and I realize the coolest people on TV whisper the whole time.
No, the creepy people.
They're out in the middle of traffic trying to solve a crime and they're whispering.
Hi, I'm Joe Biden and I want to sniff your children.
See, that's creepy.
Yeah, I know.
But that's not what I watch on TV. I watch, cop drama. I try to only watch comedies, but there's a few that I watch where Nikki ropes me in, and there's always a guy that whispers. And you're always thinking to yourself, there's a taxi, like, honking behind you. They had to dub that over. But you know what I mean? I always wonder about that.
Yeah. So the other day, the White House is trying to clean this up. Like, they're always trying to clean up things for him. I couldn't not imagine being press secretary. Like, they should have kept the last one because she was the queen of BS. And she, like, in this new one, not so much. No, not that she's bad at her job. I think if she had a normal person she was actually working for, she'd do a pretty good bang-up job. But the fact that
she has to constantly cover for buffoonery.
Yeah. So he says the other day,
she hasn't mastered the art of the circle back.
Right.
How she makes you think she's going to address your serious concern, but she's going to circle back to it, and then she never does.
Yeah,
she tries to answer it, and then it's like stumped, and it's like, whatever.
She is not the queen of BS. No. So he was talking about Scranton again, and his granddaddy was a coal miner, which it wasn't. He was said, I don't know, engineer or something, whatever.
He designed the mines for the guys to go into.
Yeah, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, his grandpappy He was right there making saddles for him and stuff. So,
Salt of the earth.
yeah, yeah. So, and I wanted to verify this. Actually, you can verify. You're good at doing this on the, show, looking stuff up. At any point was Delaware the number one cancer, like, capital of the country that had the most cancer? Because he says Delaware was once had the most cancer in the country. He blames it on the mines, and then he says that he has cancer during his speech.
I saw that.
So, do you have cancer?
Me?
No. Joe Biden.
I don't know.
Maybe it's time for the old 25th Amendment.
Well, there was a previous administration that said, I'm not worried about the 25th Amendment. It's not going to be for me. It'll be for Biden.
Yeah.
That's what he said, I think, after the election or whatever, like, because they were talking about it because he wasn't going to accept any. I don't think he still has. I don't think he's ever conceded.
Oh, did it have the highest?
I'm trying to read while I'm talking.
So we
11% higher than the comparable U.S. rate. That was 2013 to 2017.
So at one point it was the highest.
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't lie about that. Just wanted to verify it.
Yeah, well, you got to mix truth in with your tall tales.
Suppose he's lying about his cancer? Or maybe he meant to say COVID. Well, my cancer, COVID. Maybe that was it.
I don't know. I'm not going to try to get into his mind and figure out.
No.
I would assume that he was. So if you go back and watch him over history, he tries to include himself in just about any topic so that he can, quote unquote, be relatable. Like.
I know someone like that. I do, yeah. Yeah, I know someone like that.
He's not quite a one-upper, but he's like a.
Right.
He's always involved.
One of the boys.
Yeah, like
Or
he was
whatever.
at the top of his class, even though he was at the bottom. He stole a few speeches, even though he claimed he didn't, and then he got caught and played side by side, and he did.
He's good at that.
Yeah, so I don't know. But most politicians don't tell you the truth.
It's true. So do you suppose he's just not good at being a politician because he gets caught? Or
Well, if he's not good, then he wouldn't have been elected for 45 years. Or,
he's at like 50 years at this point? I think he was like between vice president and then Senate was like 47 years or 8 years. If he gets through this full term, he's be like 52 years, 51 years in the government. Can you say that's a little bit too long, dude?
yeah.
So, President Biden's approval rating is hitting a new low. Just over 31% of American adults approve of the job Joe Biden is doing. 60% disapprove.
So, see, if this was a democracy, he would change course immediately. That's why I keep saying it's being done on purpose, right?
Yes.
So, by logic standards, they have a poll that says 60% of the country does not agree with what you're doing. He should change course. He should be like, all right, well, I thought we had a way, but let me get back in line with what the people want.
Right.
But it goes back to what we talk about, I always bring up. There's two classes, according to a school of thought. Those of us who think that all of us are smart enough to kind of figure out what's right and wrong and what's good and not good for us. And there's those that are like, you're a gigantic dumb person who needs to be told everything. Like, you basically need someone to set your alarm for you, to tell you when you can go outside, when you can work, what job you're going to do. Like,
Question.
it's two types of.
Are you still talking about Joe, or are you talking about us?
No, I'm talking about.
Because everything you just said fits Joe Biden's daily schedule.
No, well,
You're
that's.
going to go here, and then you're going to do this, and then we're going to give you a card that says when to sit down. Don't mistakenly read the card out loud.
Well, that's why you got to ask yourself: who's he working on behalf of? Because of this poll right here.
Yep. And then 70% don't want to see him run for a second term.
And you could probably go back and say the same. But like, if you trust the polls, right? So
Yeah, I've never been a big poll person. Like in this case, I feel like
because you
these
can
numbers.
manipulate it.
Yeah, I feel like these numbers probably are actually worse than what they're saying, because you can I've never been a big fan of polling, because if somehow you call 10 people and somehow all 10 of them are Democrats.
About 12 years ago, I got called by one of like the Gallup polls or something. Like I
Yeah.
actually was a random
Yeah.
generated, and it didn't last very long because I already saw how she was wanting me to answer the questions as she was asking them, right? Because I mean, I took polling and surveying as part of my master's program, and yeah, she hung up on me because I was like, "Well, why did you use this word? You're trying to influence me." And she didn't write the poll; she's just getting paid to call and ask questions. But she was getting frustrated with me because I was pointing out how her questions were leading me to a certain thing,
Right.
to a certain conclusion or a certain answer.
Yeah.
And so after about the third or fourth question, she just hung up. She didn't want to put up with it. So, if you listen to the way that they ask you the questions, the words in the questions, you figure out pretty quickly that they're trying to get you to confirm a bias that whoever wrote that poll is wanting to project out onto the populace. Maybe not all of them, but in that particular case,
Right.
I caught, well, not her, but I caught her.
Yeah.
Or I caught the poll. I felt bad for her because, like I said, she's just trying to make money calling. And
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
I have one more Biden thing. That's out of order the way I put things.
this
in
is
here.
why I'm so jaded, by the way, because of stuff like that. And I'm like,
I get it. So this will be so interesting. Now I probably have to get over his COVID before he does it, but so the White House is expected to announce executive actions on climate change.
well, because it's so hot in Europe this week.
Yes, but he doesn't declare a national emergency, so he didn't go that far. But
Well, once they declare an emergency, that's their way of saying they're going to input a whole new system of control over you.
yeah, so
According to my warped view of things, but that emergencies end up changing your lifestyle.
so
Just look at the last one with COVID.
he has control of the House.
You still have people wearing masks.
More,
Even though there's studies out there showing you should not be rebreathing your own carbon dioxide.
side note, I've seen more and more people wearing masks.
Yeah, because the media is pumping up the fear.
I have to wear. We gotta get some mask type shirts. But anyways, so he had a little speech yesterday. He's got governors on board. He's got these people on board. He's got all these people on board. Just can't get a couple Republicans on board. So screw it. I'm gonna take my executive action and I'm just gonna write laws with my pen because I am a king.
No, that's what they've done that for a while now. Not
Yeah.
just him.
No, started with Obama mostly. It was done before him, but not to the degree.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Your executive action is a bunch of BS. You shouldn't even have executive action because that's why we elect 535 people, or 525, right? Because 10 of them, there's 9 Supreme Court justices, the president. So yeah, 100 senators, 425 House of Reps. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I'm not wrong on
I'm
the
gonna-
senators. I know that, 2 per state, but and that actually could change. You remember because seats change for like the census or whatever. But we elect all these people, but he's like, nah, you guys just don't want to do it, so I'm just going to do it. Because Steve, if he doesn't do something with this climate, we're all going to die in 8 years, dead. We're all going to die, allegedly, from the minds of a 80-year-old man that doesn't know where he is, that has cancer apparently. What'd you find?
435. That's what I
House
thought.
seats? Okay. So there's what, 550 total then? 35. What'd you say, 435?
435,
535 and 10 more. Yeah, 45. 545 to tell us, the rest of us, what to do.
But that's not. We're supposed to tell them what we want, and they're supposed to
Yeah.
figure out.
I mean,
a way
9
it's
of them
possible.
are supposed to uphold the Constitution. So I don't understand how judges are getting to be political because
Yeah, I mean,
it's the law.
think they
You
would
read
say-
it, you're like, oh yeah.
I don't
it's the
really
law.
see any wiggle room in the Constitution where
No.
it specifically says this or that doesn't.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
No, I mean the laws are out of control because they're thousands of pages long. Like remember with Obamacare, they were like, "You expect me to read all this?" Well, yeah, if you're going to vote on it.
Yeah, you're going to read it all, and wait, you've got like 30 minutes. We're going to vote on this. Stack this high. We're going to print them bad boys out, and you're going to vote because we got to get this through. Did someone read all this? No, that doesn't matter.
No, it was written by staffers and lobbyists. We trust them. Oh, because we elected them?
Right. Just like all the bureaucrats that aren't elected that think they'll dictate things to us. The other thing, too, you think about, where does it say in the Constitution the federal government has the power to dictate to us what kind of energy we'll use to power our vehicles, houses, heat, whatever? Like, did I miss that part somewhere in there?
I think you did.
I think so. I don't know which amendment that would be under that says the government will be the end-all, be-all.
Dude, I'm just telling you, we're in a bizarro world. We all got complacent. We thought that everybody was working on our better behalf, even though people were warning us.
And warning us.
For hundreds of years, people have been warning us. Since the founding of this country, we've been warned not to give too much power centrally.
Yeah, and don't give power to bureaucrats.
I mean, that's kind of the Constitution was trying to prevent that. And now we're like, oh, whatever Biden says, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Especially because the media says to, and, you know, the media is that's the fifth estate. No, the media is now most real journalists are on Substack because the newspapers fired them all for reporting and having some journalistic integrity. Most of them, not all.
So, just so our listeners know, most of them probably already know, but so our country right now, we could literally get rid of every car we own, every factory. We could go zero emissions. Zero. None. It wouldn't do a damn thing.
Yeah, well, that's a
Because
scam.
China is producing like one coal plant per day, and so isn't India.
See, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you this much: you can go out there and find, Harvard professor. Even though I'll tell you that means very little, but in this case, this guy he broke down the whole climate treaty, John Kerry led thing about how all it is tax money going to like Kerry.
You mean the tax credit program?
Yeah,
The carbon tax.
Yeah, the carbon
credit.
tax where you pay Al Gore and John Kerry this amount of money, and they track your coal credits, and like it's like the current state of the U.S. dollar. There's nothing actually backing it up. It's just created out of thin air by the Fed, which has led to our inflation, allegedly.
So in the last year, China is responsible for more than half the new coal power plant stations capable of being built around the world.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're building one per day.
Nah,
I
someone
think it was a little hyperbole.
I heard that the other day. Well, yeah.
But they are,
China has
they're being colonial.
3,035 of them.
They're like a colonial power now. They're going and they're getting into these countries.
The United States, we have 241. China has 3,037. But if we shut ours down, we're going to fix and solve the world. Yeah.
Stop using logic and reason and math
Yeah.
and proportionality. What's wrong with you, Tim? Just believe what they tell you.
Yeah.
You don't really know what you're doing. Like, you don't understand that fully. Those 235 coal plants produce way more for our 300 million people versus China's. How many billions do they have over there?
I think it's over 1 billion.
Yeah, it's
Too many.
3 billion, isn't it?
It's their little issue. That's why they, they can't produce enough food and stuff.
Well, luckily, we're selling all of our. They bought like 200 square miles next to Laughlin Air Force Base, allegedly in Texas. China did.
This crap has to stop.
Like, why would they?
No
sell
other country
land?
should own land in our country.
Yeah.
None.
And we
Unless it
shouldn't-
was like, if they had like an embassy or something, that's different.
Well,
but
it's like-
farmlands, no.
Like after World War II, we have plots of land over there to bury our soldiers.
Right.
That's like all we have over in Europe that we,
Right.
Anyway. And we're hitting a whole bunch of topics today.
1.4 billion. And that was
Why
in
did I say-
19.
Why did I say
That was
3
in
billion?
19, 3 years. Wonder what number it is today, though. COVID probably took out so many of them.
Well, no, it didn't, because they had their stormtroopers march down the street spraying fog.
That's true. So,
Probably. Yeah, whatever. Did you see those videos?
yeah.
They used to scare everybody?
Yeah.
I was just laughing.
Lysol.
What is this?
breathe in some Lysol.
Hollywood movie production?
So, I have
Zombie movie? That's what it reminded me of. Anyway.
two more. These are football players.
It's about 1.5 billion. Where did I get the 3 billion number from?
I give it a couple years. Some more sports deaths. So, former Miami wide receiver Sam Bruce, 24 years old, died of apparent heart attack. Former Super Bowl champion Charles Johnson, dead at 50. Didn't see no cause anywhere on that, though. Just was confirmed that he's dead. So I started a list, and I wish I did this before because there was like 2 or 3 before. So a year from now we can look back and be like, oh, look at that. There's been like 50 of them or whatever. Does it say why?
No, it just says passes away.
Yeah. But this one, it says natural causes. 24 had a heart attack. Wide receiver.
I'm just telling you, young people should not be dying of heart attacks.
No, not normally.
Yeah, not normally.
Occasionally it happens.
Undiagnosed case of.
Yeah, occasionally it happens.
You got a heart murmur that the doctor never picked up or something.
But this is show 56, and I think we've mentioned now like 5 of them. And they're all football players. So we didn't even see, and if I could have missed several, but yeah.
Yeah, he won, or helped New England win the Super Bowl in 2001.
He did. You like sheriffs. You're a big fan of sheriffs. Missouri sheriff refuses to release gun owner information to the FBI. Every sheriff should be this sheriff.
Remember, sheriffs are elected by the people, so
Right, they're actually elected, not
so they
installed.
should be, listening to the people, especially whenever they're running, right? So they run on something.
Yeah, they get elected every term. I
Mhm.
think a year, but so a sheriff in Missouri has refused to release gun owner information to the FBI, even if the agency threatens to arrest him. He's like, "I'll go down with the ship if needed." First of all, I guess, why does the FBI need to know who concealed carries? It's none of the damn business of the FBI.
Did you read why?
Did I read why?
So the reason why
The
is
FBI has-
they're saying that they're going to check to make sure that they're doing all the processes properly and they're not abusing the database to look up people that they don't have a need to look up. I don't know. It's
You mean the FBI, who's like known about every shooting that's ever happened, and didn't stop them because they're just so great at the FBI?
So I guess the equivalent that I can think of is in HR in a large organization like the Army. I theoretically have access to everybody's records, right? Like some of them are blocked and because of whatever missions they're on, you can't see their.
But you're an employee at that point.
No, I know. But there are people who abuse that.
Sure.
And so, like, if you call up and say, hey, do you know this guy or gal? Can you look up and see where they are, whatever, what rank they are? Like, if I don't have a need to know, then no, I can't.
Well, you know who doesn't have a need to know? The FBI.
Well, yeah, not if it's if it's for database management, they can do that from their location.
But
Which is what the article I read made it seem as if that was their justification, was to ensure that the system was being utilized properly and not being abused. And it's not everybody on the list. This is what they were saying. Now, do I believe them? The FBI is not on my list of high trust.
Yeah.
All
right, so let me read some more of this article then. Republican Scotland County Sheriff, apparently that matters, Brian Whitney, wrote to his residents in his community on Monday about a plan to audit Missouri's gun owner records. As a sheriff of Scotland County, I want all my citizens to know that I will not allow, cooperate, or release any concealed carry weapon information to the FBI, even at the threat of federal arrest. So, this is the part right here, Steve. So, we go buy a gun. The FBI does a background check. Every state. There's no. That's it. If I am a felon, I'm not supposed to have a gun. If I attempt to purchase a gun, and say somehow I got missed and I committed a felony, which is jailable, boom. Or it comes back and says, no, Mr. Beard, you have a felony, you can't own a gun, which I do not, just so you know. I have no felonies on my record. But there's nothing with concealed carry permits. Like, so luckily in this state, and now Indiana, you can conceal carry constitutionally, just you do not need a permit, which is a background check saying, well,
To conceal or to open carry?
conceal.
Really? You don't have to have a permit to conceal carry in New Hampshire?
Nope. Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Now, if you try to do that in Massachusetts, they'll throw you in jail. 18 months. Know someone that went to jail for 18 months. One bullet too many in the thing, whatever. Because they're communists down there in Massachusetts. But, so he says point blank, I'll go anti-commie voter club. Day of the wear that tonight.
What my shirt says.
Do it. Point blank, I'll go down with the ship if needed, he had said. And says the FBI planned to audit 24 counties, though it is unknown which counties would be affected. So it could potentially not be his county. But
I tend to wear collared shirts at school board meetings just to class
yeah,
it up.
I'm just trying to see, if you had the kahunas.
I do, but it's not appropriate for a school board meeting.
No. I'll wear a collared shirt too, man. I won't wear this. It's all good. And he
I'll
says,
hold you to it.
I will. The FBI has absolutely no business poking around the private information of those who have obtained a concealed carry permit in Missouri. Schmidt, who is the Attorney General for Missouri, wrote a letter to the director of the FBI and told him this. The Second Amendment rights of Missourians will absolutely not be infringed on my watch, he added. I will use the full power of my office to stop the FBI, which has become relentlessly politicized and has virtually no credibility from illegally prying around in personal information of Missouri gun owners.
Did it mention the release of all the gun owners? Was it in New York State about the time?
Right.
So one article I read about that, it compared when the FBI did this, and then it all leaked out, and they released everyone's names in
Right.
New York State to try to shame people or whatever.
Yep. I remember that.
Like technically, I'd be like, okay, so now you know not to come into my house.
Yeah.
Now you know it'll be waiting for you, unless you're the quiet type that's not going to set off an alarm or wake up dogs.
You don't break my
And I don't sleep much at night either. But you know what I'm saying? Like, one side of it is yeah, obviously you don't want it released, but the second point is, I mean, I guess that makes it easier for criminals to know which houses are probably safer to rob.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no point of that other than it shouldn't have been released.
I just wish that we had.
And so I think the AG mentioned that in one of the things. It was either the AG or the sheriff had mentioned the release of the names in some other state. How
That's
it was
another reason
leaked
why he
out.
wasn't going to do it. Yeah.
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 Well, not that that wasn't the reason why, but showing that it's not a simple.
Yeah.
You're just going to look at a couple records and whatever. Like, if I give you access, you're going to have access to everything.
But it's-
and how do I trust you not to?
But how is it the FBI's business?
Because they maintain the database. Because it's a federal database that is ran across the nation, so that, like you said, if you have a felony, you can't do it. So it's.
So if they missed it,
Trust me, I agree with you and the AG and that sheriff.
No, I know.
The FBI shouldn't. I'm just putting the whole story out there so that everybody understands that this is what they're saying. Now, do you trust the FBI, especially? And then the article you read, it didn't compare to when they released the names in New York.
I would trust water in Mexico straight from the tap before I trust the FBI.
I wonder how most FBI agents feel. It's kind of like with the journalists. Like, I saw there was one article, or it was a tweet from some journalist where she was like, "Are we actually doing any good?" And it's like, no. Like, you're a circle. You all support each other, and you all keep telling yourselves the same load of garbage, and you all keep reporting it, and you're reporting other people's reports. You're not actually getting out of your desk or picking up a telephone and asking people.
Dude, you tell me,
And
like,
then some people don't even want to participate because you're not going to, because of the adjectives that you use, just like with that survey, they can, you know, it's kind of like when someone calls you a racist because they're losing an argument or a misogynist, whatever. Like, all you can do is like, okay, and because it takes the power away, because they've lost the argument, and now they're trying to get you off target from the said argument by making it a personal attack. That's what journalists do. They all self-report, not all. A lot of them report things in a circle. That's what happened with the whole, if you follow the whole Russia thing, started off with Vox or somebody publishing it, and then somebody taking that and publishing it, and so they took it to the court and said we have it from multiple sources, but the multiple sources was the same original source from the first article. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
that came out with all that stuff. It was a circular reporting, and that's kind of all what goes on. And so it's It's kind of like the people who watch us that agree with us. That, like you said, hopefully they're like, all right, I'm not alone. We're all crazy together. Or the other people that watch us are like, they're crazy. But I can sit here and pull up all these articles, and a lot of them, like once I read, I go and then you can find out from the mainstream media, and you can see it. Like once you find, you know what I mean? Like you can either read the mainstream first and then go try to find other backup information, or research a topic, then go read the journalists, and you see the biases that they put into their articles. And when I studied journalism as part of American politics in college, they're supposed to be unbiased. They're supposed to just say, here's these facts, this is what Republicans say, or this is what Biden says, this is what the Speaker of the House says. And then you put it out there, and then me and you are supposed to be able to form our own opinion. Instead, they influence our opinion, and it's more like propaganda than it is journalism.
It's straight propaganda.
Because they work for whoever sponsors
Listen,
them.
I will trust the KGB, I mean the FBI, as soon as I see Hunter Biden in handcuffs, his old man in handcuffs for treason. The client list, all those people, like getting them, perp walking them out of places.
That's what drives me nuts. So if you're an FBI agent and you know that the Department of Justice has this client list, how do you continue to work for them knowing that it hasn't been released and someone's protecting a bunch of people? Look, I get it. It could be the downfall of large portions of popular whatever.
Steve, I got to ask you, you know this because you were in the military. We found that out today. So when you join the military, just like if you join the FBI or state police, what is that thing you say that I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me. Something like that. So help me God.
Maybe the President of the United States is ordering them not to do their job for some people.
Yeah, but you also are also taught that you don't have to follow any orders that are unethical, illegal,
Or immoral.
or immoral.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's your duty to do that. Like if you
Listen, if you say you're an FBI agent, I have no respect for you. If you tell me, hey, I'm a state trooper, that's pretty cool. I'm sheriff, I'm chief of the police.
I wouldn't necessarily have no respect for them.
Nah, I have
I'd
no
want to
respect
say,
for
I know, I'd say, well, what do you think about all this? Is this true? Does it bother you?
And why do you still work there?
Does it bother you that these allegations are out there? And how do you come back against them? How do you individually, just like a journalist, like a journalist that works for like Washington Post or the New York Times that puts out garbage day in and day out, biased. What I'm saying is the biased garbage. It's like, how do you, do you really have friends?
In their little circle.
Because even if I say something on here, because my mom and dad watch it every once in a while, or, they watch it actually regularly or whatever, if I say something that is embarrassing to them, they're going to call me up and be like, you're a jackwagon. Stop talking like this. Trim your beard, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things, because my parents have high standards and don't want me making a fool out of myself or our last name.
Question.
Because our name is our family, and a family means something, and your reputation means something. And so, I haven't said anything that I necessarily regret on this show.
Does Aunt Betty watch the show?
Probably not. She probably watched one episode and was like, these wackadoos.
Okay, cool. All right, last story. We wrap this bad boy up. Goes right with all this. So, Jerry Nadler, that little freaking penguin dip.
He does look like the penguin.
Says the quiet part out loud. Top Democrat makes huge admission about an assault weapons ban. House Judiciary Committee Chair, Rep. Jerry Nadler, someone needs to really teach that dude how to put a freaking pair of pants on, admitted Wednesday that the purpose of a renewed congressional effort to pass a federal assault weapons ban is to outlaw rifles that are in common use. Wait, I thought you wanted to get rid of AR-15s. Though his administration may, though his mission may seem obvious, a committee Republican quickly pointed out that Nadler's statement shows how the bill flagrantly violates the Supreme Court's precedent on the Second Amendment. I guess these people just don't understand the shall not be infringed.
Tim, the thing keeping us from invasion, tyranny, and everything else is the amount of gun owners in this country. Is because our founders decided that in order to protect yourself from an overreaching, overbearing government is an armed civilian population. So that if, not that he would, Governor Sununu was like, we need to form a militia to protect the border. This is just hypothetical, right?
Right.
Against Canada, because Canada is abusing whatever, and they're coming across and they're stealing some
Maple syrup.
resource that only grows right there just on our side of the border. Then he can mobilize not just the National Guard, right? Because National Guard could obviously fill that role. But he could also say, I need all able-bodied men to come to the border and support the National Guard. And then we form our own militia. We go out into the common, and based on whatever guidelines they give us, we develop a hierarchy so that we all go and we fall in with whatever organization they want us to support. That, to me, is what it's about. So maybe I'm wrong, but the whole point was to protect us from tyranny, to protect us from invaders, to protect us from our own government.
All right, we have to update everything you just said, except women could go too. You sexist bastard.
What'd I say, men?
Yes.
Men and women.
There you go.
I apologize. I was speaking
Thank you.
generally.
I don't want people to think.
Hey, there's some women out there that we want on our team that can whip our ass.
Hell yeah, we got an officer in town that will whoop our ass. She's badass. Yep.
She's about to go with the National Guard unit.
Yep. She can't protect the border up here. She's down there to protect Texas's border.
Yeah, so they must be getting federalized or whatever.
Yeah, you could fix that.
Finish the wall and then uphold our freaking...
That's true. I was thinking landmines, but...
No, you don't do that.
I wouldn't cross if someone put a barbed wire fence up and said there's landmines in here. Good luck.
Yeah.
You're being invaded. Literally invaded.
Yeah, no landmines, man.
Moat was alligators.
My whole thing is like, as much as I talk about this kind of stuff, like, I would love to be in a peaceful world where all of this and the weapons just sit in safes collecting dust and they're never needed, right? Like, that's the perfect world, because death and all that's just garbage. You know what I mean? Like, we should use our words as we're taught as kids. Use our words. Now, don't get me wrong. There's always a jerk that wants what you have and will try to take it by force. So that's why you can't ever. But that's what I'm saying. I wish they could be. But right now, we could stop this by enforcing our own immigration laws. Like, you know what I mean? We don't need landmines. This isn't the DMZ. Good guy.
I was kind of just joking about it.
I know, but I just want to make sure that
You're protecting me, make sure that...
people don't think you're some wackadoo wanting to put up claymores all along. I mean, there's a time and place for that, but not definitely. Anyway, so you were being facetious, and I took it too far.
Hey, I mean, it says a lot if you can get through all the poisonous snakes, spiders, and scorpions.
Yeah, I wonder if the Rio has alligators. Probably not.
That's a good investment.
I wonder, are there any alligators in the Rio Grande? While you're closing it up, I'll check that out.
Okay. So,
You got the positive meme of the day?
yeah.
Or did you already do it?
No, it's kind of positive. It's Einstein. There was a time that Einstein couldn't count to 10 either.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that it's all learning, right? We all have to.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. Well, this says crocodiles.
Crocodiles. The crocodiles are in.
I thought those were like.
That's no.
And-
Well, there's American crocodile, I believe.
Well, one
Where's
has
the
a
American
pointy.
alligator?
The alligator has a pointy snout, and the crocodile has a rounded snout. Is that how you tell the difference?
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to mess with any of them.
6-foot alligator presents deadly threat to migrants crossing the Rio Grande. That's from the Washington Examiner.
6 foot? That's like this table. Come on.
Did you watch the video of my cousin getting
Oh,
almost
yeah.
that on the edge of a canoe
Your cousin's
balancing
badass
with a
and crazy.
his crew? Like, I don't know if he shot it, but he was with a crew that went out there, and it was like a half-inch short
With
of
a
the
bow
record.
and arrow.
With a bow and arrow.
Shot an alligator. How many feet was that thing?
It's like 15 and some change because it was just shy of the state record. 15-foot alligator on a rickety old
Canoe.
I mean, it was like a canoe, but they were standing the way they were
John Smith and freaking Pocahontas are out there hunting alligators
with a bow and arrow.
with a bow and an arrow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a news clip of it somewhere. If I had it, I would put it on the links so everybody could watch.
Your family hunts alligators in canoes with bow and arrow. Me, and I'm like, dude, if there's a poisonous snake over there, I'm going to like flamethrower or something.
Yeah, well,
Your cousin would have walked over, just picked that thing up there, fucking pumped it on the head a few times. There you go.
probably would have carried it around for a minute and showed everybody. its
Wrapped it around
fangs.
his neck like a scarf. Check this out, guys. Got this sucker before him
Hey,
breakfast.
I'll do a lot of things, but I'm not going to go on that. I mean, that canoe looked like. I mean, canoe is giving it a kind of the wrong picture. It's like a rickshaw for the water, like it's like a flat bottom, but of like 2 feet wide. I mean, the alligator was bigger than the boat.
Yeah, they basically went out on a 2-man kayak.
Standing on the tip of it too, like you saw that, right?
Yeah, we're not even lying about this. If you Google this, it took your brother a minute to find it, but you guys found we're in your kitchen. We watched it because you've been talking about it, and you tried to find it one day and you didn't, and then so we're all in the kitchen for your birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we're watching this thing, and I was just like, "Holy crap, that is crazy!"
Yep.
He's like Steve Irwin on, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Steve Irwin wouldn't have killed him. He would have wrestled him,
Yeah, he would have jumped in the water.
held on to him.
See this here beauty here, just short of the state record here.
Yeah, not in Texas.
This Sheila's a beauty.
Kill that bad boy and get him out of the water.
Yeah.
That's like king of the river. I mean, 15 foot something. I mean, that guy, what'd they say, he was like 50 years old or something? I don't know.
They say 50, but I'm like, that thing was probably like 300. It's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Have you noticed something? No, we're talking about this real quick. I don't know, I'm trying to wrap the show up. Steve Irwin tragically passed away. Horrible tragedy. Ever since that happened, the world is completely gone to hell.
Yeah. I liked watching his show.
I love Steve Irwin. He was the best advocate.
I even
for
watched the
animal stuff.
movie, Crocodile Hunter, whatever.
He they don't make him like that.
They did a spoof of him on South Park. It was still pretty funny.
Yeah,
And he was a pop culture icon there for a few years.
he was awesome.
But he would not approve of the bow. And I mean, they said the first arrow just kind of bounced off its head. It took, 3 arrows to take it down? I'm saying if the first arrow would have bounced off his head, I'd been like, turn it around. Let's go, boys. Before he eats the boat and us with it.
I would have been like, oh, we're going crocodile hunting, legit crocodile hunting. I'll stay in the truck, lifted truck, 6 feet up in the air. I'll stand out here and watch you guys from the shoreline where it's safe because alligators can't climb walls. Well, you go out in your little rickshaw in your freaking deerskin outfit. And
I think he had khaki shorts on, didn't he?
I think so.
He had shorts on.
And then there's a rope that your cousin was running hooked to the arrow that they shot it with. So now you have a pissed off 300-year-old alligator dragging your ass to the bottom of the river if you don't hit it right,
Yeah.
good luck. No.
Hey, that was one slip from being on the Darwin Awards.
That's like going out and there's crab fishermen in a freaking little dinghy. Hey, we go out crab fishing. Crazy. All right, guys. Have a great day, and yeah, see you tomorrow. And we'll see you on TV maybe tonight, school board. I got zoning board after that. Busy night.
Busy.
If we don't see you around town, we will talk to you tomorrow.